he's like a snake that has a giant hammer and is like...
Well, he has the fangs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we're inching through worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And this time we read the Tattletale Interlude!
What?
I know. Okay, so I feel like I loved everything we got here, and it left me wanting so much more. What is her actual backstory? We don't get anything before, like, I get tiny hints.
I know.
From before her at, like, 14, 15.
Not only was Tattletale the first Undersider interlude character, but we didn't learn hardly any secrets. And then she died. So...
She did not die. We didn't see her die.
You don't think so? Okay.
Therefore, she is not dead.
We can come back to the cliffhanger and whether the statement you said is true or not.
And Tattletale, who did not die.
Yes, exactly. Hey, she's got the same initials.
I know. To be clear, that was a Tiny Tim reference.
When did you realize it was Lisa? Because we actually get a secret little Tasha interlude up at the top.
I think I figured out that it was going to be her right at the end of our last recording. As soon as we stopped, I read the first, 3 paragraphs, and I was like, oh, it's going to be Tattletale. Because she's in Brockton Bay, and it's a girl 14 or 15 with dirty blonde hair. Like, it's going to be her.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, I mean, obviously.
It just becomes more and more obvious, and then you find out who it is.
I mean, I've known for this whole, week or whatever since we last recorded that it's going to be the Tattletale interlude.
But you just read it today. So
yes,
these are fairly fresh reactions.
Yes.
Very exciting. Okay, very, very exciting. There's so much to talk about, but why don't I do the summary? So overall, this chapter cuts back and forth in time. We get 3 segments of Lisa's backstory, really immediate backstory, just before she joined the Undersiders. And then 2 chunks with Lisa in the battle against Leviathan that takes us from the end of last chapter kind of into the further fight. And I think what I'll do is I'll just go through and describe what happens in her backstory and then circle back around and describe what happens with the Leviathan fight. And we can talk about how the interleaving works kind of in our discussion. But hopefully this will be simpler to listen to. And that first piece of the backstory is actually not Lisa's perspective. We're in the perspective of Tasha, who works at a clothing store, high-end clothing. All clothing stores on the boardwalk are high-end, I guess. And she is observing a girl, as you mentioned, dirty blonde hair, greasy, tipped with blue streaks, wearing heavily used, probably donated clothes that she's been wearing day after day after day, kind of nosing around the store. And Tasha decides that she has to get this person out of her store because it looks bad for the brand. Maybe she's going to put off other people buying clothes.
Fingerprints.
Maybe she's going to steal. And Tasha sort of expects, usually just kind of clearing your throat and looking intimidating is enough to get somebody to leave. And this girl is not doing that. In fact, she's being very sassy. And Tasha makes the mistake of calling this girl an idiot. Mm. And she says, I really hate being called stupid. Looks Tasha in the eyes, and she says, shut the fuck up, and starts listing off a bunch of really personal secrets about her, including informing her that her boyfriend is cheating on her currently with one of her friends. And if you hurry now, you just might catch them, but you have to go. And Tasha is horrified, but because of the true stuff that she said, she believes her and just leaves immediately. And we sort of cut away from Tasha's perspective. I guess it wasn't really her perspective, but more of a third-person perspective. And to see a vulpine grin spread across Tattletale's face. And when we return to her, we're in her head and she thinks, getting rid of the saleswoman had been easy peasy. I don't know if you read Tattletale's interlude in that voice entirely.
Oh, I didn't. Why didn't I? What was I thinking?
It's very fun.
It was easy peasy. See?
Yeah. No, I mean, she's not... That's a real caricature of who she is and her voice, but I really do like it when she leans in. That's why she's your favorite
character. The noir voice.
But we learn that some of what Tattletale said was true. She has an eating disorder. She's insecure about her looks. Some of what Tattletale said, the cheating that is happening now, was a guess calculated to get her to leave right away. And she then eyes the remaining worker at the store, and we get to see a little bit of what Tattletale's power is like. Basically focusing on a single detail and then extrapolating some more information from that. Rinse and repeat. And kind of the longer it goes on, the less structured and more rambling her power gets. And she has to constantly be refocusing it and making sure that she's getting a healthy stream of information. And we also learn that her power is kind of always on, and she has to kind of concentrate in order to not be constantly bombarded with information, which if she did that, it would drive her mad, but also she would get really bad migraines pretty quickly. And yeah, we can talk a lot about like what this means, how expected was this form of her power for you. But what she's doing here in the store is she's looking for a mark whose credit card she can steal. And she assesses that the remaining cashier is worried about what happened to her coworker. She's not going to call security on Tattletale at this point. And she sees a guy, oh yeah, like confident, looks ex-military. And she starts thinking, can I guess what his PIN would be? And we get to see this example of her going through all sorts of different reasons that will help her narrow down the 4 numbers that she can use to get money off of his card. And she does it. She has to kind of get some more information. And then she's like, great, I know if I steal his card, I'll be able to use it. Getting closer, gonna just reach in and grab it. And suddenly her power's like, oh, by the way, he has a concealed weapon. He's got a gun. She immediately turns around and is like, nope. This was a really bad idea. But she sees, wait, there's someone else, a security guard, an enforcer from the boardwalk is coming into the store, but something's not right. Oh, he's looking for me. Wait, the guy I was going to steal from and the woman he's with, they're also moving to block off my escape route. This is a trap. And the so-called enforcer, who she quickly realizes isn't a real enforcer, knocks over some merchandise, takes her captive, pats her down, reveals a knife that she hadn't been carrying. So he's basically framing her in front of the storekeeper, and then he says, I'll handle it, taking her outside. We learn how horrible the private security at the boardwalk is in terms of their reputation, the awful things that they do to people. We can talk about that later. And Tattletale's like, I don't know if it's better or worse that this guy isn't a real enforcer. You know, I hope he's not gonna just kill me. Like, I don't know what's going on here. And this guy takes her around the corner, pushes her up against the wall. She tries to fast talk him a little bit, like, hey, I can pay you more than whatever's going on here. But this guy's not going to negotiate. Those other 2 people from the store come around, and one of them pulls out a phone and says, hey, somebody wants to talk to you. Lisa tries to put on a chipper attitude, and the voice on the phone, we can surmise, is Coyle, who says, hey, I've been watching you, and I would like to buy your services. Her power informs her, this is not a negotiation. And she says, I'm listening. We then cut, in our backstory, to the first meeting of the Undersiders. Tattletale's the last to arrive. In fact, we learn she's not even going by Tattletale at this point. She says to them she hasn't chosen a cape name. So really, I should have been just calling her Lisa so far. And we see Lisa see the other 3 at this point Undersiders for the first time. Yes. They've all been gathered already.
Yes. We're going to talk about them.
She gets an assessment from her power about Gru, about Bitch, and about Regent, which we'll definitely talk about more in the episode. And we get some really quick, familiar characterization of each of them. And again, hit this beat of like, she's putting on her chipper, tattletale, familiar attitude. And she's kind of doing a little bit because she knows it's pushing Brian's buttons, that she's kind of being flip and cheery. And she thinks basically like she's learned so much about what makes these people tick, and especially with Alec, kind of this darkness under the surface that speaks to some kind of measure of fucked upness that every single person has. And she finds this a little bit comforting because it's like everybody's got some baggage, but at least I know what it is already. And that's something that I can work with and make peace with. And the chapter ends with a note of Brian saying, if we do this team thing, we're going to do it properly. And she says, of course. How hard could it be? Putting on a wide smile. And that's the note things end on, but things aren't going so hot for Tattletale in the Leviathan fight. So jumping all the way back, we pick up shortly before the end of last chapter. It's right after they've been teleported by Strider from this big conference room out into the street, and they're immediately soaked. They're saying, we're out of our depth. She starts to say, look, if I die, Gru says, none of us are dying. And they do eventually kind of sort out their wills. You know, like Lisa's like, we'll make sure that Aisha's taken care of. And, you know, if I die, then I've got some envelopes will arrive. And, you know, she even thinks a little bit about maybe she should have talked to Taylor about this. And what would Taylor have wanted to do about Danny? And amidst all of these morbid thoughts, she continues to just focus on Skitter, and we see Skitter on the page from another person's perspective for the first time. Lisa has a lot of really interesting observations about what's going on with her in this moment, and also about who she is as a person. And I think it's fair to say that we see a lot of genuine feelings of sympathy and affection from Lisa to Taylor, and some regret about what's gone down recently. We learn that she had even hoped to undo the recent events with the Dinah reveal by having Coyle use his power in some way, but he basically shut that down, saying it wasn't possible, or maybe it was possible, but he had different priorities. The opportunity had been lost. And her thinking about Skitter is interrupted by Legend saying, get ready. And then we return to the fight a little bit later in the chapter with Leviathan making his first attack. Tattletale starts to use her power on Leviathan and learns he sort of doesn't have a cardiac system or a standard nervous system. She's like, okay, Regent, your power's not going to work on him. And he's kind of like, yeah, I figured. Also, he's big. And we learn another tantalizing detail. Tattletale says, I guess your secret weapon isn't going to work either. Mm-hmm. Regent says it'll take 2 or 3 times as long, probably, if it worked at all. And we also see that Lisa checks to make sure Taylor can't hear this.
Yeah.
And, all right, we'll definitely circle back to that, Jenny. So Regent's on medic duty, basically. And Leviathan's already jumped forward, and we see Alexandria fight Leviathan. We see Dragon fight Leviathan. It's so cool. We start digging in again. What's the deal with Leviathan? What makes him invulnerable? Well, his body's divided into layers, and like, how hard are the layers? And like, what metals on the periodic table can we compare the hardness of the layers to? And she's like, ooh, no power. Like, my power's actually just going to keep going down that rabbit hole unless I stop it. So she like pulls back, and yeah, Leviathan is really like knocking people down. He knocks Alexandria down. He destroys Dragon's mech suit. You know, we see some other capes, narwhals in there, ballistics in there. And Tattletale finally gets something interesting. Leviathan is not human and never was human. Additionally, he has weak points. There are some places where his durability is not as strong because of the structure of his body. For example, he'll take a lot of damage at his arm joints and maybe his leg joints. And then another tidal wave arrives. At this point, Lisa has asked to be brought up on top of a building so she has higher vantage. Unfortunately, the building is, you know, pretty damaged by the tidal wave. Her power tells her, okay, is it going to collapse? No, it's not going to collapse. And Leviathan rapidly climbs up on top of the building and basically breaks through the center of the roof. It goes from being over a dozen capes down to basically only 3 standing, Tattletale included. She's just holding on to the side, trying not to get washed off the building by all of the water that is constantly pouring off of Leviathan. Her armband is listing off casualties, and, there's one cape putting up a fight right in Leviathan's face. And finally, without even a glance her way, Leviathan shoots a blast of water directly at Tattletale, which is enough to lift her and push her off of the building. And she realizes she's falling, and she thinks stupid. An accusation directed wholly at herself. And chronologically, that is where we leave Tattletale in the chapter. I went into a lot of detail in the summary, pretty long summary, but it's a long chapter, and there's a lot of stuff to dig into.
Yeah, so there is.
Where do you want to start?
Tattletale died.
Tattletale died, yeah. I'm joking because, that's kind of my reaction when I read the chapter for the first time. I'm not saying she's not dead. We don't know.
I would be so surprised if Tattletale were dead. She just feels like the kind of character we're going to be with for the whole book.
Yeah.
Or, if she died, it would be some dramatic, end of the book thing. Taking her out at this point feels like, sort of senseless. I guess it would be a little bit like a George R.R. Martin move.
Yeah.
But
why would you withhold her backstory in this interlude?
If you're going to kill her.
If you're going to kill her, unless you didn't have any good ideas for it or something.
Yeah.
It is funny that you bring up George R. R. Martin, because I do feel like he does, I don't want to call it a cheap cliffhanger, but he does do really dramatic, ambiguous end of chapter sentences. There's, without saying, this is a spoiler that many people know about Game of Thrones, but there's a character who loses a hand. And the chapter that is written from is from his perspective. And he's been sort of forced down into a position where, as a sword is flashing down towards him, you could kind of interpret it as he's having his head cut off.
Oh.
And so, it's written in such a way that you're like, oh my God. And then, the way those books work, you turn the page, it's a different character.
Yeah.
You don't come back to him for 60 pages or whatever. And you find out, of course, he's alive. He's lost his hand, right? But there are half a dozen, maybe 10 chapters that end that way. And then there are 2 or 3 that I can think of where genuinely a character dies in their own point of view chapter.
Wow.
And it's also something he does, a lot of the prologue or epilogue characters also have this cliche of they're just here so they can set the stage and then die.
Okay. And clearly that's not Lisa. But
so you can write a chapter.
Yeah. Someone can die in their own point of view.
Right.
She's not dead while she's falling. It's just,
right.
Is she about to die? The benefit, of course, and I think we've referenced this a little bit, the benefit to killing someone important early, like Game of Thrones did, is that it lets you genuinely believe that any character could die at any time.
Yeah.
I do not believe that about this book yet.
Yeah.
Because, we haven't seen anyone die except for that kid during the Bakata fight. We've seen now some capes that we didn't know die, but we haven't seen any significant characters die at all. So I don't expect them to. I do kind of expect that at least we'll lose someone in this fight. I've predicted Armsmaster, which I think there's some solid reasons why that would be a good idea.
That's an interesting, it's almost like there's a little bit of a...
The plot armor is so strong
right now, but
in my
with
mind.
Every new work, right, you kind of need to reestablish those stakes for every author or every setting.
Yeah.
I think we've talked before about how, in the Scalomance books, there's some really early deaths for even tertiary characters.
Not even a character, just a background.
Yeah.
You're students die all the time in this school. You never need to see one die again in that kind of setting.
Exactly. And that, right, so early. It sustains you further. And even though, sort of looking at the structure of the rest of it, there's a ton of plot armor, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So it's all kind of about that in an introduction to a work, right? Where are you going to set those stakes?
It's going to tell you its own rules.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you what to expect.
It would certainly tell you a lot if this is the end for Lisa.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That would really affect the work going forward for me.
And other stuff that happens, we'll just have to see.
I hear it's a very eventful arc, so
I guess this is funny because the pace that we're going, we're sort of testing the question is like, can Arc 8 be hyped up enough? And can it be consumed slowly enough that it is overhyped? It never builds momentum.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in the rest of the arc. I can't answer that question.
Yeah. But I don't know. I really like this chapter. I will say that I don't like it as much as many of the interludes that we have had so far, simply because I know there's stuff that's being hidden from us, right? Like Lisa's backstory is being teased. And I think it's very important that we don't see any of arcs 1 through 7 rehashed from her perspective, right? So it's like backstory and it's like in this moment, but like if we got to see like the cops and robbers speech, but from Lisa's head, like that's the kind of thing that I would be like so excited. Right, exactly. Like there's so many moments that I'm just like, what was Lisa thinking about Taylor and about Worm so far? And like, we're not getting those answers in this chapter. So I feel like the potential is so high, and it's like kind of it's like a little bit of a tease to get such delicious insights, but to still be at a remove from Lisa. Yeah. Which is actually a really nice character beat from her, because we learn from her that she really likes to be around people, but she sort of naturally keeps people at a distance. And she's kind of keeping us at a distance.
Yeah, that's true. It does feel very consistent with her character. She kind of thinks about her backstory and is like, but we're not going to think about that.
Yeah, that was so funny. Okay, do you want to just speculate about that, or should we come back to it?
Okay, so let's see. What we learn is that she had her family around always, and then she ran away from home. Yeah. And then we learned that she always had, fellow squatters. She had people in her life, and then she gets pulled into this group by Coil. It didn't happen organically at all. So that's not a lot to go on. She's getting by stealing rich people's debit cards, guessing their pins, and taking a ton of money out of the ATM. Right. Great scam. Love that.
Right. It's a great scam. And also, it's very small time, right? It's hundreds, maybe $1,000 at a time. Yeah. Because you're going to get a limited withdrawal at any one transaction. The companies will detect the fraud, right? And it's not enough to pay rent. It's not enough to buy nice clothes. Certainly not enough to do what Brian's doing, right? It's very small time. We learn a couple of other tantalizing details. Lisa isn't her only name.
Right. It was Sarah something.
Livesey.
Sarah Livesey. Sarah Livesey, where if you take the first 2 letters of each of those and invert them, or, switch the order, you get Lisa. So if Sarah Livesey is her real name, or her birth name, then I can see how she got Lisa out of it.
I never put that together or have seen that insight before. I'm not a deep Lisa scholar, but my hat off to you. That is amazing. I buy that for sure.
I mean, yeah, that seems to be where it came from. Yeah.
So yeah, Lisa's not her only name, or it's her newer name, right? And we get the tiniest hint about the backstory right at the end, because she's just assessed all of the others, in particular Alec, which she found not disturbing because now she knows, and that's better. She likes to know, yeah. She thinks it was almost reassuring. It meant that she didn't find out something ugly days, weeks, or months down the line, which was a set of memories she was not keen to dwell on. She pushed that thought into the emotions that boiled up with it out of her mind and grinned, as though she found Regent's comment amusing.
Yeah. So I loved that insight into her grins, first of all, because she is someone who's always grinning, always smiling, always cheerful. Not exactly always friendly, but always having that sort of happy demeanor. Yeah,
that's also something she's always working on. That's a performance.
And just seeing how fake it is in these last 2 pages there was quite striking. And it does make sense to me, like what we've seen from her. Of course it's a front. Right. Of course that's not all there is to her. And we've also seen glimpses of that, like her refusing to talk about her backstory.
Right, yeah. I was just thinking about that when she brushes it off like, I'll be old enough to drink before blah, blah, blah.
Which she's actually, if she was 14 or 15 at this point, she's no older than 16 now, so.
I mean, maybe 17. I guess this was a year ago.
This was a little less than a year ago, yeah. But also, I guess the clerk could have been wrong about her age.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
the grinning is fake, and the thing that made her suppress those memories was the idea of someone where you don't find out the darkness until a while in.
Yeah.
And we also know that her trigger event was just incredibly horrible. Presumably, like just, Occam's razor, it resulted in her leaving home. Mm-hmm. She probably didn't run away randomly and then become a cape, though who knows. So someone in her life turned out to be much, much worse than she ever thought. Mm. I mean, I'm not sure what... Actually, yeah, like this kind of thing where you get insight based on details. If she was in a situation where she should maybe have been able to pick up on clues and she didn't. She was in a situation that made her feel stupid.
Interesting.
Yeah. The thing that jumps to mind, I mean, obviously this is not her backstory, but do you know anything about Teen Wolf?
No.
All right, so some Teen Wolf spoilers. I also have not seen Teen Wolf, but I have read a lot of fan fiction. And the character Derek, who's sort of like the surly, like older, he's in his 20s wolf, has this like deep-seated trauma where when he was like 15 or 16, he got seduced basically by an older woman. She was probably like college age. And it turned out she was a hunter who was trying to kill his whole family. And she succeeded.
Yeah.
So his entire family died because he let himself trust this person he shouldn't have. I feel like that kind of thing could be what happened to Lisa. Like, someone took advantage of her because she was, like, a little bit stupid.
Yeah.
In, probably a totally natural human way.
Right. I mean, that kind of feeling is so relatable, right?
Yeah.
The idea of, like, I mean, just think, like, it's very thematic with stuff we've talked about with Taylor, the sort of like unintended consequences theme. Like that's kind of what it is. And what Lisa maybe took away from it is a feeling of like, if I'd been a little smarter, I could have stopped this thing.
If I'd noticed all the details. So now, unless she forcibly stops herself, she notices every detail.
Yeah.
It's very much the way the power works. I mean, there's definitely a Sherlock Holmes aspect to it. This like, oh, I see the scratching on your phone case means XYZ.
Yeah. And
it's also, it reminds me of like video games where you can like click on any object and it'll like give you a little factoid or something.
That's what I want. Oh no. Okay. Listeners, we have to make this happen. I need a like old point and click adventure game, like in the style of like Sam and Max or something, but Lisa is the protagonist and you can click on all of the different things and she'll make a comment about it.
In her old-timey voice.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes.
All right, this is a pencil.
Put it on the list of weird worm adaptations that I'm really into. The Worm musical, the Worm point and click adventure game. It's going to be good. You were saying, I mean... No.
Yeah, and it also reminds me of AI. It was so funny to read in this thing that was written like 15 years ago. This thing which is like, if she lets her power go too long, it can just start making stuff up. I was like, it hallucinates. It's ChatGPT. And it's so funny because like, I mean, of course, that's the reason you should not use a large language model as a search engine because it's not the same thing. But she does use her power for this.
Yeah.
And she just has to be able to tell, like, oh, it's going off the rails.
Yeah.
It was also fascinating to me the amount of information she needed to get in order to get the pin, the guy's pin. Because I would have assumed, because she had sort of said, like, passwords and numbers, those are easy. Like, that she could just look at a lock and the password would come to her, or the series of numbers would come to her. But it seemed like she really needed to dig and be like, okay, I need to get a ton of specific details. Like, get like, okay, it's either even, even, odd, odd, or odd, odd, even, even. Okay, so he was born around this decade, so that means he'd start with like this kind of number. Oh, he's left-handed, so he'd favor that side of the keypad. And she did, like, her power, it seemed like, gave her the exact number. But she needed so many discrete details to get there.
Yeah.
Which makes it so much more impressive in retrospect, all of the things she's managed to hack in that way. Like, she's working so hard to get all of that.
I mean, there's so much I want to respond to there, but yes, I absolutely love this observation because I think it's so easy to be on the outside and look at Tattletale's power and it's like, oh, well, she just knows stuff. She's omniscient and she's kind of like, it's like easy. It's like, great. If I had a power that just told me everything I needed to know, like whatever, like that's not that impressive. But when you're in her perspective, you do see the effort that it takes and you can ascribe some skill to what she does and think, oh, it's not just that like,
it doesn't just
Lisa's power made her smart. She's using it pretty intelligently.
Yeah.
And is working very, very hard to do it.
Mm-hmm.
She has that interesting thought where she's like, I think Taylor would use my power better than I would.
Well, yeah, because her power is solely based on observation. Like, I was thinking, can she sit here in this conference room and know stuff about Leviathan? Like, no, she needs to see him.
Yeah, yeah.
And she needs to be able to get input. Sort of like
Right.
Dinah
No,
needs
that's
to
right, right.
have context.
Taylor's input and then Lisa's ability would be
Yeah.
much more. That's a really good point. But circling back to some of the other things you said, in addition to the work that she has to put in, I also find it so interesting that there's like a push and pull to it. You compared it to like ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
I was almost comparing it to like a Tamagotchi. It's like, it's not just like she has like a battery level that she drains and when it's out she has to wait to recharge. It's like she has a little guy that she's carrying around and she has to keep feeding it information. And like it's working, but it's like when she stops feeding it, that's when it starts to go wrong, right? Like when she loses focus or when she stops observing new details or when she doesn't, come up with the next question.
But unlike a Tamagotchi, which, I mean, it's going to stay alive for days, probably, she can't use her power much.
Yeah.
Her stamina is so low. It seems like since this point, she's gotten it a lot better.
Yeah.
But she says she can only do it for like an hour or so every like couple weeks, I think she was saying.
Yeah.
So that's why she's, not living large on these debit cards, because she can't do this very often. And like you said, it doesn't get you that much money.
Yeah.
And she gets terrible migraines.
Right.
She's never mentioned that, which is, I think, part of her cheery facade.
Yeah, she's talked about overexerting herself.
Yeah, like she got really tired at the bank.
Yeah.
But she did tell Taylor about Alex, thing where he gets this, intense pain if he overuses his power. And she didn't say oh yeah, same thing for me. I get horrible migraines. Right.
And that makes sense.
Because she kind of does want to seem omniscient. Yeah.
The particular writing detail, right, with ChatGPT, one of the things we know about it is it's very cheery at all times, and it's very confident in what it says. And that's true of a lot of the models are sort of saying ChatGPT, LLM, whatever. This is being recorded in November 2025, so that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. The
first bit of power use that we see from her, she lets it go on a little bit too long. And we get this sort of point counterpoint or object information about that object or detail expounding on that detail structure to her power, listing out things. But then I love the way the writing, it switches to longer sentences, more run on. We lose that structure, right? And so you wouldn't want to read pages and pages of this. So it's nice to have this sort of just very visible, the paragraph gets harder to read as it goes on. And it's helping us see that the information's getting worse. It's getting more overwhelming as it goes on, right? We're in Lisa's experience of realizing that it's not quite right. Yeah. Versus it just starting to, it's not like it's chipperly telling her things that are, the sky is green, and she's like, well, better retune the power.
The tone does actually change, yeah. Actually what the details we were getting about her power reminded me of is, how you'll be watching a movie or TV show and you'll suddenly be in the point of view of a character with a smart helmet or a character who's an android or something.
Yes.
And you'll see the sort of computer text readouts on the inside of their point of view, on your screen. That's what it felt like getting all of the details.
Yes.
Through her power.
And that's kind of another angle in what I was trying to get at with the Tamagotchi is there's more of a relationship here, right? It's it is a heads up display or a thing you're talking to. There's a dynamic, right? And and she's putting stuff into it. It's not she's just receiving wisdom from on high. It's not she's praying and her power will sometimes deign to give her stuff. Yeah. There's this back and forth. And we sort of said her Tattletale persona is a performance, but Lisa herself is genuinely very funny. And one of the things that I found so funny in this chapter is the back and forth with her power. There were so many great comedic beats where she starts thinking okay, that guy, he's here for me. They're cutting off my exit. They're all here. And her power's trap. And she's yeah, I knew. Right?
Didn't need you
she
for
even
that
like
one.
says that out loud, right? It's like a great talking to yourself, like with your inner monologue or whatever. But I love that she has like this. I guess it is. It's like the heads up display, but it's also a little bit like the serious robot butler or like the C-3PO character who's like a little dense and doesn't have the full context. Like with the going on and on about the hardness of metals, and she's like, like let's not. There's a bit when like she's like, okay, Regent, this is your chance to save me, and her power's like, Regent got knocked out by a wave. She's like, come on. And the bit where the enforcer is like beating her up, and it's like, yes, he's trained, military. He's going to hit you in the solar plexus, and it's going to like do this much damage. And she's like, it falls over. Right. It's also a good example of just she's no good in a fight, right? Yeah. But it's so funny. The power keeps going on, and even I'll stop going on, but even the bit, just like the very dry delivery where she's like going to pickpocket, and her power's like, oh yeah, and he has a concealed gun, and she just immediately on a dime, like, nope, I'm out of there. It's just very, very funny, right? Like the comedic timing is inherent to the power. Like that's probably what Lisa brings to the table.
It's the straight man. And
right, exactly. The power is a straight man that lets her be funny. I really loved that. That was probably my favorite thing about rereading this. It's so cool to see how Lisa's power works, but like it's just very characterful, even though it's also robotic in a sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can we talk about the forming of the Undersiders?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, just to kind of dig in on the backstory side of it before turning to the fight. Yeah, so she's united with them, and it's very funny. Well, as soon as she meets them, she's like, yeah, I figured I'd be more of like a backstage person. It's never really occurred to her, it seems like, to be a cape. Like, she was not someone who
She's
like,
not Tattletale. She's just using her power to get by.
Yeah, using her power to get by. Of course, gotta use something. This is what she's got. And then Coyle recruits her. She says, I was sort of thinking I'd take a backseat role, serve as your contact, the gal on the other end of the phone, keeping you guys on track, feeding you info. Yeah, she wants to be that, like, person back at headquarters for, like, the spy who's going out. And they're like, okay, I need info on this. And they're like, clickety-click. Oh, here's all the info. She was going to be doing that with her power, which, I don't actually think would work that well, given the amount of input she needs for her power to operate. Yeah. It actually does make sense for her to be in the field.
Well, she's kind of saying, it's funny because what she says she wants to be is what Coyle is for the Undersiders in the story so far.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, Gru is kind of like, no, and Bitch is like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, what I loved about that is, like, just we sort of have seen in Undersiders where the older teens are more mature and are taking more of a hand in, like, group dynamics. And we have seen Lisa, not as much overall leader, but she obviously has the plans. She has to connect to the boss. She does kind of play this informational role in the group. And she's kind of a mother hen to Taylor a lot of the time. But yeah, we see her not fully formed here, right? Like, this is so much, even a year ago, she was so much younger, she was less mature, and we see that, like, in this dynamic in the Undersiders, immediately Brian is like, no, he's the responsible one. Yeah. He's like, you're gonna have a costume. And Bitch is the one who's like, this has to be fair. Yeah. You're gonna come and fight by my side, because how am I gonna trust you if you're not right there? Right? Like, and those are both very characterful beats of them being their person. And part of the Lisa persona has been built around working with Bitch and working with Brian. And it's so fun to see that and not see it so much as like, I would be so much less interested in Lisa as a person if this was like her doing the Ocean's 11 and I'm gonna make the perfect team. It's like, and this is how I found Brian, and this is how I found Rachel, and I'm pulling them all in. Like, her being a little bit on the back foot and a little bit of the novice here raises her in my esteem because of how much she's matured over the past year,
Yeah.
or how much she's sort of become a formidable, confident tattletale out of this.
Though it
Lisa
also
person.
makes me realize how much she is faking of her confidence and stuff too, most of the time, I think.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
Because she's like, Gru says, figure it out. All right, can do, she assured him, as much to test his patience and see his limits. She grinned and offered the words, should be fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun how calculated that is.
Yeah.
Like,
and
she's
how much
just
she
kind
can,
of grinning and, like, quipping a little bit.
and how much she can't help herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's both calculated and impulsive, or like on instinct.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, but this thing where she is doing things to find out about people.
Right. It's the input thing. She needs to, if she's not poking you, she's not going to learn stuff about you.
I'm dying to know what she learned about Taylor in their first interactions.
Right.
And why it didn't lead her to doubt Taylor's place on the team.
Yeah.
Because it seems, well, we can get to that. I want to talk about the other
let's talk about the other intersect, because there's a whole bit about Lisa and Taylor we're going to get to.
So, Gru, I think this seems very accurate to what we know about him. Orders, demands, statements, condemnations, use of skull in costume. That's sort of the input. And then the output is solo operator, organized, careful to divorce emotion from action and agenda, falls back on order, rules, self-discipline in times of stress. That's sort of his like basic programming, core programming that she mentioned to Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we learned about Brian. And the stuff about Rachel was a little more surprising. So, haunted by demons, I think we knew that. Antisocial, we knew that. Seeking to change things, seeking money, power, prestige. Those I would not actually have guessed. Money, I would have guessed maybe for practical reasons.
Yeah.
Seeking to change things for dogs?
Yeah.
I guess I would have said, but like power and prestige I would not have guessed.
Yeah.
I'm curious what more we'll find out about that.
Yeah, well, we've learned, right, just getting inside someone's head always puts a whole new perspective on them. So I feel like it's really telling that we get a characterization of Brian where we're like, yeah, right on. You got Brian to a T. And we get a characterization of Bitch that's like, is that right? And when you think about how much progress Taylor was able to make with Bitch over a few weeks compared to, the dynamic between Lisa and Bitch, how much I guess I'm inviting us that like maybe we don't want to see the power as omniscient. It's really hard to like, we don't get a concrete example of like her power told her something obviously wrong.
But she did say that sometimes it's wrong.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah. So I would invite us to consider both things as sort of like, is Rachel more ambitious than we pegged her for?
Yeah.
Is this an insight we'll follow up on later? Or if that's a dog that doesn't bark, is this an example of the power just saying like, oh, people who are unhappy with the status quo, the type of thing that they might like to do is seek money, power, and prestige.
Yeah.
Right?
Hard to say. I feel like there could also be a thing where two things. The power could be speaking sort of from like a fixed mindset where it's like if it tells you something about a person, it could encourage you to think that that's true forever when it might change. And also, it could tell you something that is true and continues to be true, but because you know that, you might behave in ways that are less helpful. Like sometimes information is not helpful, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. Both because it can calcify and you'll miss changes.
Right.
Or because there are things you might not bother trying because you feel like, well, I already know how things are. It's not worth trying to change it.
I'll back off. I kind of wanted to make a point. I mean, literally, does she want to change things? Yes. She wants more money to take care of her dogs, and she wants people to leave her alone. Like, this is, it's half literally true, even if the power and prestige thing, like how much is the power saying, like, this is the kind of thing she wants, here's some examples, versus interpreting it as she definitely wants all three of these things, right?
Yeah.
She wants the power to always take care of her, right? Like, you can interpret it pretty literally, and it's not as
maybe prestige means she just wants to not have this like terrible reputation with the authorities,
or she wants to be so tough everyone will leave her alone.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
There's sort of, I overinterpreted the literal words on the page in the same way that Lisa might. So how about that for another point of working with her power.
How about that? Okay, so moving to Alec. So you mentioned how Brian and Rachel both were very characteristic. Alec is also very characteristic in that he really doesn't give any input at all.
Yes.
Lisa says that, should be fun, and he says barrels of fun in a tone that might have been sarcastic or might have been disinterested, which, no content there. And he's not, contributing anything, just kind of being sarcastic. And what her power says, so the input, disinterest or affected disinterest, lack of engagement, lack of pupil dilation or contraction coinciding with eye contact. And the output is limited emotional depth, deeply repressed emotions, and or depression, sociopath. Really interesting characterization of him. I do feel like that's sort of where we've landed. Like, it took a while to get there. Certainly Taylor didn't have that fullness of impression at the beginning. But this really does line up with the backstory we've gotten on him. And the idea that he's a sociopath is, I think, the impression that it's a word that people would be more likely to put to bitch doesn't actually seem necessarily accurate for her. But it is a word that is perhaps, again, power is not infallible, accurate for Alec.
Yeah.
And I'm still really curious, because this is sort of limited emotional depth, deeply repressed emotions. Can any of that be salvaged, I guess is the question.
Yeah.
I want better things for Alec.
Yeah. So a bunch of things. I guess first, I have a bone to pick with the word sociopath. And I feel like this is not the first time it's come up on the show, and it's probably not going to be the last, but we've seen with the cops and robbers speech and different levels of crazy or psycho-ness of Capes with Sophia's attack on Taylor. And I think Taylor thinks the word psycho, and that sort of we went along with Taylor's characterization of that. And here with the word sociopath, right? It's all very consistent from a Watsonian perspective. These are just words the characters would use, and that's totally fine, right? I do feel like, especially now with sort of the more omniscient seeming power using the term, I do want to point out the Doylist perspective of these words are not precisely defined, and especially in a story that deals with sort of correlating real psychological stuff and trauma to fake fun superpowers. The sort of I feel like what's happening here a little bit is the story wants everybody to accept that yes, sociopath, psychopath, those are terms that mean a specific diagnosis that applies to real people, and some subset of people are these things. And I'm pretty sure in the time since this was written, the psychological literature has all but dropped these words as being particularly useful or effective or based in reality. And so I would have had a folk understanding of what sociopath, psychopath means in the real world. In practice, it tends to be both over-inclusive in saying that when we think of someone who's a psychopath, it's maybe you would say they're antisocial personality disorder spectrum, which is correlated with 3 or 4 types of behaviors that are also maybe statistically linked to increased violence or criminality at a population level. But on an individual basis, people who have limited emotional depth, depression, or a lot of trauma are not all violent criminals. And if you call them sociopaths, you're creating a category that doesn't exist that can then be used to pull in other people in a problematic way. So the sort of the power being yes, he is one of these people and these are the different, criminal minds. I feel there's a little bit of that leaking in from kind of this was written in 2011, and I feel the terms were more broadly used like that. And I feel someone who was more up to date on the literature would probably have left it at the description of behaviors, or maybe even said something personality disorder. Maybe it might have tried to make some statement linked to chance of being violent, and not sort of put it all in this category that's this is the type of person who's a bad person or who does bad things.
It is true. It's an alarming label. It's interesting that you seem to assign it more violence than I do.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I did not study abnormal psych, but I did study psych, and I did have to take some abnormal psych. And so I have like vague memories of like, oh, sociopath doesn't mean what you think it does. And I was just looking it up, and it is not a diagnostic term at this point.
Yeah.
Psychopathy might be. I didn't read in quite enough depth to know, but yeah, I was finding like antisocial personality disorder, which is a diagnostic term, and it is sometimes called sociopathy.
Yeah.
And
I guess maybe there's this thing of like, you were sort of saying like, can he be salvaged? And like, I just don't want it to go in the problematic direction that feels like Scientology of like, 10% of people are incurably evil, right? Like this idea that like, oh, he's a sociopath, so like his brain is broken and it makes him like, bad or like unable to connect with people or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a lot of loaded stuff around that language that I would like to take better care to like, if Taylor calls Sophia a psycho, to not just like repeat it and like try and be like, so like, here are the specific things she's doing that are bothering me, but like, not sort of chasing people down that rabbit hole as much as possible.
Yeah. And I guess there is a question of like, why do I think that Alex's experience of being a human isn't sufficient or something? Why do I think he needs to be healed? But like, he does seem to be bearing this damage of limited emotional depth, unable to access his emotions, like this lack of ability to connect with other people. And I want him to get some of that back. Some of that stuff that was taken by his childhood. Yeah,
and it's tough. I mean, and it relates back to our conversation about disability, which is another sort of theme that we're going to keep hitting, and even to what Lisa says in the next paragraph, of sort of like thinking about it as like, what's your damage? Like, what's wrong with you? Versus like, well, what's different about you, right? It's like there are a lot of ways that we can celebrate difference or, reach across difference. And also acknowledge that like trauma does this to people in real life. All of these characters have a lot of trauma, right? And so we're finding that being in their heads is all very rich and stuff like that. So
Lisa thinks that everyone is fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Does she think everyone's fucked up to the same degree, or
no?
Yeah, no. Actually, she does. She liked to think that everyone had roughly the same measure of fucked upness in them.
But I mean, this is also like, I don't know. This is a truism that I agree with in real life. I would never put it this way. I would put it's a glass half empty, half full thing, right? But it's just sort of like all people are people, right?
Yeah. I actually don't agree with it at all. I think that people carry really different levels of damage. I don't know that there's anyone who doesn't have any fucked upness inside of them, but the idea that everyone has the same measure of it, I just don't think is true. Like, people have had such different experiences.
Yeah. No, I'm reframing it in a way that feels close to a sort of humanist impulse.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the more critical way to read it is kind of what you're getting at, which is like, well, we have to pretend that everybody, no matter how privileged they are, suffers the same, because of their weird hobbies or, I mean,
I don't think that's even what she's saying. I think it's more like she's been through some stuff and it's left some darkness, some shadows in her, and she likes to believe everyone has the same level of like stuff that they have to carry.
So it's sort of more of a coping mechanism. Like, I don't want to be broken, but if I think
I don't want to be
broken,
any more broken than everyone else.
Exactly.
And I think it's also a defense mechanism where if she expects everyone to be broken to a certain degree, then, like she said, she likes to know up front so she doesn't get surprised by that from people.
I guess, the way that it feels true to me is like, the fucked upness is like such a negative way to spin on it. But like, we've both had moments in being parents of an infant and toddler where we're like, this is so hard and it seems so easy for some other people, even like some of our friends that we know, and it's like, what's wrong with me that this is so hard for me and I hate it so much. Right, exactly. And so like, to me, I would never characterize that as like, oh, it's so fucked up of me that there's this thing that I really don't like. But that's like the same truth as like, well, actually everybody does feel that way sometimes, right? Like, I think that's kind of where I'm coming from.
And I feel like I very much have a personality where I like to believe like everything's fine inside of me. And I have discovered it's very much not true. But in contrast, I also have sometimes gotten glimpses of what other people have to carry. I'm like, oh, that is so much more intense than anything that's been put on me.
Yeah.
And I just do, I do think it's true that we get uneven burdens.
Yeah. 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 I feel like if you're talking about like people's personalities and stuff, it's more true. If you're talking about people's burdens in life, it's absolutely not true.
And sometimes the burdens in life, influence your ability to cope with day-to-day situations. And sometimes I read people's posts on Tumblr and I'm like, how are you people doing it?
If they're doing it at all,
they seem to be making it through, but...
Yeah, I mean, I took us on a pretty big tangent about that, but I wanted to address that on mic and sort of hold my future self accountable to, like, as we return to this, to the extent that there's sort of a narrow mindset over or like use of those terms in a way that, I don't know, feels uncomfortable.
Strip the big scary labelness off of them.
Exactly.
And also, like I was saying, using the power in a fixed growth mindset.
Yeah. Avoiding the like, well, if he's this type of person, then it puts him in this automatically like bad broken bucket. Yeah. Like I want to resist that interpretation. Which doesn't mean he's not bad. We'll see what he does. It's about, it's about or has done,
But I want him to be able to I want him to be redeemed, basically, because right now he's
or even
veering villainous.
Yes. You don't want him to be a villain.
I don't want him to be a villain. I don't want any of these people to be villains.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of stuff that we haven't talked about yet. I have like a few things related to the backstory scenes that I think we should touch on before we jump to Tattletale versus Leviathan.
The one-on-one combat, yes.
The one-on-one combat that we see, in which, sadly, Leviathan immediately kills Tattletale.
That is what happens, inarguably, yes.
Who would have predicted otherwise? So, one of the major things that, like, I'm curious if you had a reaction to it all. It's just like what we learn about the Lisa-Coyle relationship and whether that recontextualizes for you anything about her or the relationship or Coyle or like, I have like a few things I want to point out, but like, did you have a like reaction to that part of this chapter?
I mean, I didn't have a super strong reaction to it. It was kind of, I was like, oh, obviously these are Coyle's people. Okay, she's with Coyle. But then you did mention to me when we were just talking about what we were going to cover in this episode, you mentioned that Lisa isn't there voluntarily, which is true, actually. Like, she has the impression that she does not have a choice about being an Undersider. It's like this guy is buying her power. And I suspect that is more true for her than for any of the others. It might just be that she realizes it and the others don't. But I think that if Coyle knows what her power is, which it seems like he does, it sounds like he's been watching her pretty closely, there is no way he's going to risk having that power not be on his side. Because that's the kind of power that can uncover what he's doing and create a lot of problems for him.
But he's not ruthless. He's reasonable.
What are you talking about, Ted? He kidnapped a 12-year-old.
But it wasn't a serious kidnapping. I'm sort of making fun of her, but yeah, like, I completely agree. To me, it's a real revelation that she was recruited under extreme duress.
Yeah.
And just thinking back to 7-11, where we met Dinah, the courage it must have taken her to sort of stand with the rest of the Undersiders against Coyle and be like, hey, we've got a few problems, says a lot. And then the serious kidnapping comment, it's like, it makes me feel like...
It was no more serious than my kidnapping, come on.
Right, but it's almost akin to like Stockholm Syndrome, that like she's come from this place where she got forcibly brought into the fold and kind of like justified and rationalized that, and then suddenly been forced to confront another alternate path for her, right? Like the sort of, I knew that I couldn't say no, but like I probably still can't say no, right? Like this is what Coyle is willing to do to somebody who has a good power, right?
Yeah, I do think that she does not have a lot of illusions, despite her whole, like, it's all fun and games. Like, I feel like the other side of that, which is very much a part of this, is like, people will do to each other what they're going to do to each other. And, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Yeah.
And that's part of how she justifies what she does, but she also has really had very little choice in it.
Yeah.
I don't know the backstory, obviously, as we've discussed, but like, it's in this position where she was stealing money from rich people to live, and, you know, that's pretty petty crime as crime goes. And she did not make the choice to elevate herself into a supervillain.
Right.
And it does seem like, having worked with Coil over the course of the year, she has been won over by his manner and stuff. Or she might even have been fairly convinced at the beginning. She's like, these guys are going to kill me in an alley. And then it turns out to be this like well-spoken guy on the phone who's like, I would like to buy your power. And she's like, oh, okay, well, so there's no point in resistance. But like, she also might be kind of relieved. I don't know that we get that. But like, if she was expecting to be treated much worse and she's like, oh, okay, so there's a lot of money on the line. He's offering me a lot. Okay, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the mysteries, right? This is another reason why it's so tantalizing that we don't rehash any of arcs 1 through 7 with Lisa, is because, again, right, I feel like we see her get forcibly recruited to the Undersiders and like kind of end her interlude on the note of like, well, we'll make the best of it, you know, but we don't know because she's not thinking about Coil stuff much in the present day sections of the chapter. Like, how much has she become Coil's right-hand woman, you know, versus how much of that is the performance, right? Like, there's a very open question to me about who Tattletale is, right? Like, we see Lisa's origin story here, and we see just a little bit of current day Tattletale, but there's so much we still don't know about how much she's changed.
On the Endbringer.
Yeah.
This is reminding me of that thing where the boss offered them $250,000 to attack that gala, and she didn't want to tell them about the money because she wanted them to make the choice without having the money influence them. And I wonder if that's the part of her that
doesn't want to repeat the cycle.
Yeah.
Sort of
she
like
wishes she had the choice. She wants to be able to let them at least pretend that they do.
Yeah. That is so interesting. And that reframes what Coil's doing, that Coil's not so much like the snake, you know, like coming up with the perfect offer to sort of trick you into giving into temptation. He's like a snake that has a giant hammer and is like...
well, he has the fangs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Right, yeah. He's just
easier for a snake to use than a hammer.
Actually, you're right. He's just a normal snake.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, do what I want or I'll bite you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll bite you and inject you with all of my amazing money, you know? But...
well, there's a real carrot and stick situation. They're both at play.
Yeah, so it is fascinating. Something I want to keep an eye on going forward, for sure. The one note that we got in this chapter, also about Coil, just really quickly, is she apparently went to Coil to see if she could stop Taylor from leaving the Undersiders somehow.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, what does that mean? I mean, it says something about how much she regrets the current situation, but also just like, what does that mean about Coil and like what he can do? Like, I
was thinking about that because the way she says it says he can only decide on the outcome of one course of events.
Yeah.
She didn't say he can only focus on one course of events at a time. I don't know exactly, like, is his power something that you can kind of use, like, turn on and turn off, and like he'll influence a course of events, and then once that course of events is over, he can do another one? Like, is it he can only do it once every X period of time?
Yeah.
There are sort of weird unanswered questions there, but it made me think a lot about Taylor's decision making at, what was it, like arc 6 or something, where she decided to choose friendship. And I was like, oh, it feels just like a little bit uncharacteristic that she is willing to prioritize her friendships. And I ended up not quite concluding, but I was like, oh, maybe it is... that was almost just like a stopgap to get her to this point where she finds out about Dinah, and that's like her real motivation locking in. But I wonder if it wasn't so much like, oh, the narrative just needs her to be in this position for a little while. If it's more like Coil was making the Undersiders into this team that he wanted. Coil was using his power on them, and the outcome he was choosing was like, the Undersiders side with me. And Taylor was being influenced by that in some way. I don't know. Again, I don't know how it works.
That's a very cool power for someone to have.
Really creepy.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like what you're saying. You don't want to be on the other side of that
No.
either. But it also kind of suggests a limit, right? It's so good to know that there is a limit to Coyle's power.
Yeah.
He's not like a totally omniscient,
He's not influencing
omnipotent
all of
puppet
the
master,
outcomes.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's something with his focus.
But Lisa seemed to think that if he turned his power on Taylor in that moment, she would come back to the Undersiders.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
And it also, like, the break didn't feel final narratively. It probably felt final to Taylor.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how final it does seem to all of the other Undersiders. I mean, Lisa does go to her and say, like, you can come back. Like, I'll do whatever I can to make it possible for you to come back. So Lisa doesn't think it's irreversible. But, like, Gru points out this, he's like, Taylor's not in the group. And... like, clearly, they're just very, like, he thinks, or at least is claiming to think right now, like, that door is closed. Like, no, she's out.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it really, we should circle back to that later, but, like, it really says something to me that Lisa's the only person who thinks that Taylor and the Undersiders is salvageable, or, like, cares about it at this point. Like, that is so clear. I mean, I guess we haven't really seen on screen Bitch's reaction.
It's not going to be good.
But it's not going to be good. Yeah, I think that's probably a fair guess. But yeah, it's fascinating. So a couple of other things. Getting into a little bit more kind of seeing Lisa in a different light stuff. Well, like, one thing is giving her this background where she was squatting, like, unhoused in Brockton Bay, living with other people. She talks about how important it is for her to have roommates and other people close by. It really reframed for me the beat where she was like, well, we can't let purity destroy the whole neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little bit of, I was like, who are Lisa's friends? And I was like, oh, these are, like, they're not important to the plot or story so far, but like,
but she probably does.
She has friends around town who she was living with in hard times, and that's enough of her.
Only been a year since then,
right? Like, and maybe very cynically, maybe it's just Brian's worldview of like, well, all I care about are my friends and teammates, and Lisa's like, well, and the people I lived with, my roommates, like my neighbors, right? Like, but she is connected to the docks in a like deeper, more familial way than I had necessarily predicted in the story so far.
This is probably why she's annoyed that Brian doesn't live with them.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
So, okay, we haven't really talked about Tasha and how much Tasha sucks. We don't need to talk about Tasha. But I want to talk about this thing that Lisa does to her in particular. That this is not a supervillain combat situation. Lisa isn't even a supervillain at this point. But she sees this woman who is like an obstacle in her way and is awful, like seems like an annoying person. But then finds out that she has an eating disorder and weaponizes it against her and makes up a bunch of stuff that's going to like, ruin her day. And Lisa, isn't necessarily totally coldly rational about it. Like, well, I just have to do this in order to achieve my objective. She's like, yeah, it seems like a bitch, right? Like, that's the way that she thinks about it in her head. Yeah. So, like, did that also, like, move you at all? Or, like, how does that make you think about who Lisa is? We've seen her weaponize these skills, say, against Glory Girl and stuff, where it's kind of like, well, this is me, I'm a supervillain, like, come at me. Yeah. And this is a lot meaner. Yeah,
but you know what it also was? Have you seen Pretty Woman?
No.
Okay, so you don't know. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to say for all of our listeners, the scene where she's shopping on, like, I don't know, Rodeo Drive or something. Like, she is a prostitute, and the guy she's with for the week gives her his credit card, and she goes shopping in, like, really fancy store, and they won't serve her. Even though she has the money, but she looks, like she's not going to have the money, and they're just awful and snooty to her. And then she, ends up getting a lot of great clothes somewhere else and then comes back holding the bags and is like, you work on commission, right? You remember me? She's like, big mistake, huge. And it's just like the most satisfying moment of like this awful woman who, judged her as trash and threw her out of the store. Like, it's like, oh, what a huge mistake I made. And this is obviously not quite the same outcome, but it's that person being put down, that person who's like, I have seen you and judged you as unworthy as a human, and I will cast you out of my presence. And like, she absolutely deserved what Lisa did to her. Like,
that is fascinating. I mean, I agree with this is a person that we like to see taken down.
Yeah.
Especially in the context of like a story or whatever. But in Worm, we have so many cases of like, oh yeah, they're the Nazi gang. Like, they're the drug running gang. Like, these are like, they're so punchable. Like, why are we even talking about the morality of like stabbing one of them in the leg or something, right? And so it's interesting that this is like, I was sort of inviting a comparison between Lisa and Taylor here, but to Lisa, these labels of, well, she's a bitch, or like, this guy's a rich schmo. Like, these are the type of labels and like characters that she's using to sort of justify. So they deserve what I'm doing to them.
Yeah. No,
right. Which is a very different threshold of sort of like classifying things than Taylor's kind of like, oh, well, they're a bad guy, so they deserve it. Right. And this is different. Like, being a bitch is not the same thing as being a bad guy.
But both are labels that are perhaps reductive.
No, exactly. That's kind of the thing I'm
But I will say, Tasha and Lisa were in combat.
Ooh,
So,
I like that.
Lisa striking back, completely justified. Lisa and the rich guy, I mean, assuming he had been a normal rich guy, like most of the guys it seems like she robs from, they were not in combat. So it's a little bit more of a Robin Hood, can you justify that situation? Which is it's just a different framework. You could probably justify it in different ways.
But I also think, like, you know, criticizing myself, it's a little bit of the, like, if you're a professional boxer, it's irresponsible to get into a fist fight. It's kind of like, if you've got the, like, I'm gonna be mean to you superpower, like, I'm trying to hold Lisa to a higher standard than is, like, probably fair. Because it's like, this is what life has handed her, right?
She
like,
also was lying about what she did.
There's nothing stopping, like, if Lisa's just an incredible bullshitter, right? Like, I feel less bad about what she says to her, right? Like, it's just the fact that
she didn't even use her power for the affair thing. She was just making it up.
No, yeah, but it's like, I don't know, like, just, like, using, you know, I don't like Tasha, but, like, using that stuff about her past, it's so traumatic what Lisa does to her. Like, it sucks. I feel there's some part of me that is like, that feels bad.
Yeah, you must be a very good person.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, I mean, that is fair. Tasha seems very unhappy.
Maybe the last thing that I'll note is just like, I feel like it's important that this piece of Tattletale is not Tattletale the supervillain, is not, this is Lisa who has this power, right? It is a pretty core part of her personality. It wasn't
created by the Undersiders or by Coyle.
Yeah. But I'm glad we talked about it. I'm not trying to do like a holier than thou thing.
No, sorry. I was making fun a little bit.
Yeah. Like, Tasha's no Kaiser. She's certainly no Emma, right? That's I think, that's all I'm trying to say.
That's true. Emma's a very high bar for evil. She's in that category though, I think.
Okay, on a slightly more serious note, maybe, the last thing about the backstory is we get Lisa's perspective on the private security in the boardwalk, which I think has come up before. Taylor talks about it when she goes to the boardwalk in Arc 3. And I feel like we've been living in Taylor's head, and I feel like I've been sort of giving her a hard time, maybe for being like, I sort of imagine her as like a little bit more sheltered or something. And I was like, well, like, how much is she really aware of what the situation is like for people who have to deal with being on the, you know, bad side of these private security folks? And then we get a perspective from Lisa, who is somebody who has no power to resist, right? Like this is one of Coyle's soldiers, but what he does to her and what she fears, you know, he's going to do to her. She gets framed with the knife. She gets like very casually sexually assaulted as he's like groping her. Lisa's expecting to be killed. She talks about the threat of rape. Oh yeah. So like, this is really like, you know, I feel like, to me, getting the perspective of somebody who's a lot closer to that reality really just drives home how bad it is in Brockton Bay, and like is something that maybe, again, when we've talked about this, but it's sort of like another really hard-hitting to me detail of like Brockton Bay is not sort of like every city in superhero world. It's like stuff is really bad here. And there's also something to me about like learning this in the arc where like we learn about Endbringers and what they do. This is like a reminder of like, this is a bad setting. Things
it's going to be destroyed. Things are rotten here.
Well, no, but also, I mean, but Leviathan et al. Are destroying everything, right? Like it's
true. It's true.
Right. So, but I mean, it's sort of. You're absolutely right, though. Getting this chapter after last chapter was like, no, not the boardwalk. And I read this chapter and was like, no, like, fuck this. Tasha's store destroyed. Private security out of work. Great. Destroy, like, tourists, get out of here, right?
Hey, we don't need to destroy the one industry that Brockton Bay has left.
Oh, God. I mean, well, and that other thing, the tourists watched with idle curiosity while the locals averted their eyes. Such a contrast there. The locals knew what was up. It was just inconvenient to pay attention to it.
Yeah, pretty dark.
Such a dark and
really
true
dark.
note. And also kind of like reminds me, Taylor's kind of like the tourist in the Dinah situation. Everybody else is kind of like, well, yeah. Like, yeah, we don't want to look at it. But like, well, yeah.
She's the tourist in the supervillain world.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. So I think, I mean, maybe what I'm learning about myself is kind of like the power of a sort of show don't tell, or like seeing somebody with less privilege in life, you know, speak truth to this dynamic, you know, gets me a lot more like, I mean, the other thing is just like, no wonder Lisa hates Glory Girl. Like, what's New Wave doing about this shit, right? Like this private security situation is as much full of villainy as, you know, not as much, but like it's certainly
evil in its own way.
It's evil in its own way, and it's
certainly. If this was the law, why would you care about being on the robber side of the cops and robbers dynamic?
Exactly. Mwah.
It's also notable to me that Coil's soldiers are impersonating the security people here, and they're basically, you know, doing what the enforcers would do. And here's Coil saying, like, I'm going to build a better Brockton Bay, but his soldiers are acting just like the enforcers.
Yeah.
Not promising.
Yeah, and that's also, it's kind of like her a little bit like, okay, well, like, but maybe it'd be better, right? Like
right, he didn't take me to an alley to be killed.
They're more disciplined, right? Like, they're only going to kill me if it's rational to do so, not for fun, right? Like, oh, God.
Speaking of getting killed, should we talk about Leviathan?
Please, let's do it.
So we do, in fact, resume where the previous chapter left off from Tattletale's point of view, which is so fun. At the beginning, before Leviathan starts attacking in earnest, it was just so great to see Lisa's perspective on Taylor specifically.
Yes!
You've called out that like none of these interludes have given us an outside perspective on Taylor.
Yes.
She just hasn't been present or hasn't quite been on the page until now.
Yes. I didn't know exactly when it was going to come. I'm so happy that it is here now.
Did you remember the thing where Lisa's like, she doesn't even notice the bugs congregating around her?
Yes. I mean, yeah, iconic.
The Pigpen thing is real.
Well, you were saying last chapter, like, she doesn't even have any bugs because she would have mentioned them. And, like, actually it's the opposite. Now the default is always bugs. And she just doesn't notice them.
Did she have bugs on her at school? Like...
presumably not, but it's been a while since she's been to school,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
It's so good. She's like, Taylor's so perceptive and yet so oblivious to how she seems to the rest of the world. I'm like, you get her, Lisa.
I was amused by the note, surveying the scene in that peculiar way she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've noticed that Taylor's very analytical, and she apparently is observant to the point where Lisa's like, oh yeah, Taylor, with her kind of weird way of always observing things.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lisa also notes how alone she is. Like, we get the first beat of the scene. They arrived on site in a clap of thunder. She almost lost her footing, but Gru offered her a steadying hand. And I was like, oh yeah, you know who did lose her footing? Taylor.
Yeah, Taylor has like a little piece of trash on her shoulder. And Lisa's like, no one's there to help, you know, like, clean it up for her. And she's like, she thinks about how recently Taylor's been blossoming as a person.
I know. Yeah, she also thinks about how Taylor gravitates towards solitude. How she pushes people away, and when it came down to the nitty-gritty, when their group had found out the details of the kidnapped girl, Taylor had left.
Do you think that's an accurate characterization?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah. I loved this passage, yeah.
I think that there's been a push and pull with Taylor, with like welcoming people in and pushing them away. I don't think there's an automatic push people away impulse, but I can see why Lisa thought there was one, because Taylor spent the first 6 arcs pretending to be friends with them, but not wanting them to get too close. And then at the end of arc 6, what she decided was, no, I want these people to be close. She actually did choose the people. But then this thing with Dinah made her so horrified at who those people are that she pushed them away. It's not an automatic like, oh, things are bad and stressful, I'm going to push everyone away. Like, there's this whole element of like, are these people evil? Am I okay with their values?
Well, right. What's
can
most
I live
important
with
to
them?
me?
Yeah. And Lisa just has no idea that element is there.
Right. And there's another example of like, again, Lisa is also not omniscient. And she said before, sometimes she has a tough time reading people. It totally makes sense that she's seen Taylor keeping her distance, has developed this understanding of her, but her powers never stepped in to correct her and be like, well, actually, since, the beginning of arc 7, now she is gravitating towards friendship, right? Like,
well, although she does note that, like, wow, Taylor's really formed some close bonds with the others.
Oh.
Okay, but on the question of Lisa's power, I don't think it's that her power doesn't give her stuff about people. She says, in her point of view here, that, like, it is more exhausting to get information about living things and people, and she doesn't want to, she'll get migraines if she does it too much. So I think she deliberately does not seek out information about people, except in cases like at the bank where she really needed it.
And we haven't necessarily seen Lisa Taylor bonding time in arc 7. We saw
No, that's
Fitch,
true.
we saw Brian, right? Yeah. So, like, it could be, like, I really like that just Taylor hasn't had a chance to warm up to Lisa before the Dinah thing went down.
And it's probably a perfectly reasonable narrative from Lisa's perspective. Like, wow, it took her so long to start to warm up to us, and then stuff got real and she left.
Yeah.
Whereas really it was like Taylor was resisting and resisting and resisting and then finally gave in and was wholeheartedly there, and that's the real Taylor. But then disaster struck.
And so obviously we love our girl Taylor. Fascinating to me. Lisa in this chapter thinks about, she's like, yeah, and the 4 of us. And then Brian's like, no, not 4. Like, Skinner doesn't count. Or, like something like that. And she thinks like, she has this parental instinct, like, I wish that, Taylor's so sensitive and I wish that I had seen this coming. Like, it reminds me of
responsible.
With our toddler, like, it's like, oh, I should have foreseen that yanking this thing out of her hand was going to really piss her off. I wish I hadn't done that because now she's having a tantrum. It's not quite the same thing, but I feel there's a little bit of that, like, my responsibility is to not walk on eggshells, but just anticipate natural consequences.
And because she's the person who gets all this information and who does read people well when she uses her power for that, she feels like it's her responsibility. Yeah,
but like, why does Lisa, and we saw her go to Taylor in 712, like, she doesn't have any negative feeling towards Taylor at all.
Why does she have no clue what's been going on with Taylor?
To me, what I'm asking about is like, it's entirely positive. There's absolutely, that I can detect, no note of like, oh, she's so hard to work with, or like, wow, it really sucked that she abandoned me. It really, like, I don't get why she cares so much about dying, right? Like, it's so interesting, and I'm not saying that could be the kind of thing that's like, she's just not thinking about it now.
Let her down. She doesn't feel like Taylor let her down in turn.
Exactly. So what do you make of? Do you have any? What, like, has this changed your understanding of Lisa, or like what's going on? I'm very curious.
I don't think that really changed my understanding of Lisa. I don't know. It is surprising to me that she's not even a little annoyed, but I think it's like she cares more about the outcome than she cares. Like, she doesn't feel the need to like waste energy on annoyance. It's a little bit like the thing where she's like, she grins because like sometimes that's all you can do. Like, she is optimistic is not the right word. She's very, very good at shoving down negative emotion in order to get to the thing that she wants.
Interesting. Oh, maybe a little bit like a happy warrior mindset of like, we gotta go do this.
Well, more
get
like
this done.
She doesn't let herself get mired in emotions that would impede her.
Interesting.
Which is definitely what Taylor did in 712 or 711 or whatever it was. I guess it was 712, where she like was so upset about the Dinah thing that she couldn't actually talk to the group in a way that would get them to be on her side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good theory. The sort of like, it could have been the case that Lisa was incredibly hurt in that initial reaction.
Yeah.
And then
I'm sure
by the time she shows up at the loft, she's already boop, 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 pushed those feelings down. And she's like, hey, I'm going to sweet talk Taylor back into the group. Well, okay, now she's fighting Leviathan, but like maybe if all of us don't die, like she's just kind of...
She's very outcome focused and like very much about moving past her own thing, which is why she doesn't talk about her trigger event.
Right? Yeah, right. We saw her, she saw her be like, oh yeah, sometimes bad things happen to people like that thing that have, oh no, not to me, no, let's not...
Yeah. And she is someone who is good at manipulating people to get the outcome she wants. That's sort of what she does in interactions with people. She doesn't get caught up in her own reactions. She gets caught up in reading other people's reactions and then figuring out how to change them. Mm-hmm. So her own feelings about the situation are not important if they're going to get in the way. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of my reading of it.
And the thing about Taylor being the heart, right? Lisa basically sort of admits as much. Like, Taylor's so good at getting close to these people and I haven't. And like, I was wondering... Lisa doesn't necessarily feel bad about that. She thinks sort of like, well, I would never leave the Undersiders because I don't want to be alone, right? Sort of like almost no matter how bad it gets, the most important thing to me is like being with people. Like that seems to be something that's so important to her. But she doesn't seem to have like necessarily regret that Taylor's been better at getting close to people. And I was wondering like...
Yeah, she doesn't want to be alone, but she also doesn't want to let people in too much.
Yeah. So is it like that intimacy is difficult or she doesn't like it or just that like secrets create distance? And so because she is somebody who knows all your fucked up stuff, just like that gets in the way.
I mean, also if you're someone who doesn't really listen to their own emotions, then you're not going to be able to connect very well with other people on like a really deep, intimate level.
Interesting.
If you're pushing down your own feelings and sort of putting on this smiling persona.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's some of both. Like she
can't be authentic.
Yeah. She's not someone who is authentic with people, but it's really important to her to have people around. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, it ties back to what she was saying about like why she doesn't date too. The sort of like, all that stuff is on the surface and it's not Wow, it's also such a contrast to Taylor at the end of Arc 6 when she's deciding to side with the Undersiders. She's like, does this motivation feel authentic? Not quite, but I'm getting closer. She is so in touch with her own authenticity. And Lisa absolutely is not. Like, Lisa has pushed her own authenticity way down. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Talking about that, right? Her persona, the mask that she puts on. I feel like I was thinking a lot about how her power leads to that. And it struck me that, like, I could imagine somebody like Tattletale coming off as, like, an absent-minded professor type or, like, an annoying, kid sister who won't stop talking type, right? And so... I feel like a little bit of the Tattletale construction is wanting a controlled performance to make sure that she doesn't come off as somebody who is knowledgeable, but like not in command of the situation, right? So her power can be very unfocused if she's not, paying attention. But she doesn't want to be a conduit for raw information. She's like somebody who is like, I'm the person who has the information and then using it effectively when I want to. That's
why she was so concerned that Taylor not tell Brian that she didn't know about New Wave at the bank. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And when she's like, she gets pulled over by the guard and like her instinct is to stall and talk and say, I'll double your money. And the guard's like, no, we're going to wait. And she's kind of like, well, waiting is better than dead. So like it makes so much sense for a talker. They're just like, yeah, we'll just stall. That's fine. Yeah. As long as I have time to talk in the future, I will be okay. Should we talk about Leviathan?
Well, we gotta do it.
Yeah, so this guy is tough, I'm gonna say. I don't know if we knew. We knew,
his water echo thing, so cool, so scary. He, like, swooshes his arm or his tail, and then it's just, like, a giant hammer of water, basically. Yeah, but this whole thing where... every layer of his body is
harder to get through than the one above it.
Oh, yeah.
This thing where he has he has blood but no standard circulatory system. All of his vital organs are in the, like, very tiny inside core of him. Or I don't know how tiny. It's not tiny, I'm sure. But, like, under many, many layers. And he, in fact, is not human and has never been human.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
This is not a parahuman.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge if true. But, yeah, like, what do you make of this?
I mean, I assume it's true.
I think
that would be quite the hallucination.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, okay, so what are the possibilities? Something alien? We don't know where Scion came from, so, there's always the possibility, sort of a Superman figure from space kind of situation. Maybe these guys are also from space. I don't think that's very likely, just because I don't think interplanetary stuff is going to become a huge part of the story.
Yeah.
So it's possible that whatever weird force is creating parahumans also worked on a few animals, and this is an animal that it happened to. It's just like, a weird natural force. I don't know.
Leviathan's a bird that just really was, like, traumatized by a fish or something, and then just, like, became this, like, water power controlling overlord who is just trying to get some sushi or something. Sorry, this is
why off the rails a little bit.
This is why I didn't write Worm. No. I do love that theory, but continue.
It's also possible there's, like, a slightly more sinister version of that where human activity, advertent or inadvertent, that resulted in capes also resulted in sort of the creation of these creatures. Presumably they must have been animals to start out with, because, I mean, what did they create a monster from nothing, sort of out of a, like, petri dish? Like, no, I assume it started with some sort of animal, and that this is an unintended side effect of scientists messing with biology kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And there's a third layer of darkness there where this is an intentional result.
Right.
So there's also, I mean, I guess maybe this is option 2 with the human scientists messing around, and this is an unintended consequence. If what are the case 59s?
53.
53. I'm never going to remember the number. Maybe,
that's all right.
Well, maybe we'll read it enough times I'll remember it. If the case 53s started out much more monstrous than Gregor, like, Gregor's, like, still both, looks human, looks like a person walking around, but much more, like, quote-unquote monstrous than it seems like they have gotten at the present day. If we extend that trajectory back,
yeah,
where did they start? How monstrous were they at the start? Were they Endbringer monstrous?
Yeah.
Are there 3 absolutely hideous monsters, and somehow they kept going with their experiments after that?
Right.
Like...
Right.
Or is this more of a, like, well, if we're going to have parahumans, like Legend was saying, this is why people tolerate us, do we need to have monsters for the capes to fight? To make our existence tolerable? Did the capes do this?
Yeah. I'll just point out the other layer, which is I don't think this is the direction the story is going, but like you were predicting.
How would you know?
Of like, well, who's really responsible here? Wildbone needs these giant kaiju for his capes to fight to keep the stakes high enough, right? Like, there's kind of an in-world version of that kind of is what you're saying, right?
Basically, yeah. If you are Legend or Legend's boss, and you see that society hates you and doesn't want you to exist, then if there is such a huge threat to society that only you can face, then society's going to have to tolerate you and even revere you for what you can do to save them from the Endbringers.
Oh.
But, I mean, I feel like if someone intentionally created, maybe even controls these Endbringers, like they're overshooting. Like, they didn't need to be this bad. Like, they destroyed Newfoundland. Like...
Yeah, destroyed. It's like, what, almost 1/10 the population of Japan in like one day? Like, it's...
Yeah, you guys didn't have to go that hard.
Yeah. I mean, to talk about other types of evil, right? Yeah. Like, this is unforgivable.
My money is on the sort of extrapolating back of the case 53s.
Interesting. And then you were saying, like non-human initial experiments.
Yeah, I mean, why would you start with humans?
Yeah.
So Scion shows up and they're like, people can be this. Of course, there's a question of where did Scion come from? So this theory is clearly not explaining everything. But they start experimenting
Yeah.
and they end up creating these sort of, not mindless, but these incredibly violent, inhuman beasts.
Well, this isn't really what you're saying, but like, if somehow, humoring this, Scion is the first one, and then you get a Leviathan, you know, you're like, well, I'll keep going. I'll roll this dice again, right? Like,
maybe.
Probably
maybe
not.
you
Probably
keep going.
Not. Probably not.
But maybe that's the only way to keep your funding.
It's all about, this is a parable about
capitalism.
No
so
ethical research.
So expensive.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of quick stuff about the Leviathan fight. I mean, Alexandria, toughest cape in the setting.
Love it.
Immediately, like, punches him. It's a little effective, but not super effective. And then he, like, grabs her and tries to drown her. Right? I was just like, this is how
she
tough.
got out. But...
yeah. I think we probably would have, if the armband had said Alexandria dead, you know, or deceased or whatever, we would have found that out.
But Dragon's not there, right? That's my reading.
The whole mech is destroyed, and then there's
except for like the little suit that pops out, but Tattletale's like, there's not room for a human in there. She's not in there. Dragon's just like, Dragon's like across the country.
Yeah, right?
So when we saw her like sitting and looking at the sea, her mech suit was looking at the sea. I'm sure she was looking at the sea on a screen.
Right. And we've only seen her before when she showed up in that interlude, also on a big screen, right? Like, she wasn't actually there at the intake to the birdcage.
Right.
So I thought that was a really fun detail.
Hang on. But if Dragon can do that, why doesn't Dragon send like 5 mech suits?
I love this question.
Why can't Dragon come up with a weapon that can destroy? Like, what are you doing, Dragon?
Yeah, right. Why
can't you just spray this whole thing with foam?
Yes.
He's like, you know, Leviathan is coming out of the ocean and you just drop your foam bomb on him and he's gone.
Yes.
And then you cut off his head slowly through the foam.
Yes. And if Eidolon can have everybody's power, why not have Dragon's power and have there be 2 mechs? Come on!
But if Dragon's power is making the mechs, she makes a different mech for every battle. Like, she could just make multiple mechs. Like, come on.
Well, Dragon and Eidolon have to answer for this. We'll come back to these questions later. I do just want to say, like, we're going to skip over it because there's so much to talk about, but the Leviathan attack in this chapter is, like, so brutal. It's so cinematic and destructive. There are, like, 15 people on the roof, and 12 of them die in seconds.
Yeah.
Right? Tattletail's almost dead. If she survives, she's going to be one of maybe, like, 2 survivors of the people who are on that roof. And there's another great rooftop scene, callback to Arc 1.
Oh,
she explicitly thinks about it, like, oh god, this is like when Taylor was up on that roof against Lung, and how did she get out of that situation? Oh yeah, we saved her. Right? And it's like, again, with the stakes going up, I love seeing this again, where it's like, here we are, a bunch of capes on the rooftop, getting ready to, okay, we're all dead.
I have to say, like, what are these capes doing here? I understand why Alexandria's there, why Dragon's not there, why Dragon sent her mech suit, why Legend and Eidolon are there, but what are they doing bringing people like Gru and Regent to this battle? Like, Tattletale should be there because she can get information, hopefully, but like, Regent's like, I'm not gonna be able to do anything, and like, I don't think they even talk about what Gru can do. Like, why are all these capes who are unable to defend themselves here? What you're doing is just like wasting the like power potential of humanity. I mean, they didn't have to come.
Yeah.
They came of their own volition. There wasn't the level of organization that could have resulted in Legend sending people away if they weren't going to be tough enough for the battle. Like, they just really didn't have time for that. Maybe what he was going to say is, the rest of you, go home, we don't need you. Like,
I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I think that I trust that if you don't have callously enough bodies for an Endbringer to target, that you don't have enough time, right?
Maybe,
it's sort of like...
Yeah, it's worth it just for the small chance. But then why do they not send military?
Yeah.
Why don't they send in a tank? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's a
tank's not going to be less tough than like Tattletale standing on a roof.
We certainly haven't seen Endbringer level military, deployments at all in the story. So I think that's a big open question about what's going on in the setting, for sure. Yeah, one other like future Undersider thing that I wanted to call out is Gru says all this morbid talk. He says, none of us are dying.
Yeah.
Which struck me as identical to when the dino reveal happens and he says, none of us are to blame for what Coil did, right?
He's just trying to announce reality and
he's
make
asserting
it true.
the reality that he believes in. And I feel like that's very in character. I lied. There was a second thing, which is...
Regent's secret weapon?
Yes, he doesn't need his shirt when it's wet. That was one of my favorite procedural details, is that, like, while I was writing this, like, oh yeah, Regent wears, like, a really baggy, floppy shirt. Now it's soaked. I guess he'll take it off. He's just going to wear his battle mesh. And I was like, I love that. But yeah, the secret weapon. What's going on? What's going on?
Okay, so we did learn that he changed his methods when he came to Brockton Bay. So there is a secret weapon. Now, Lisa doesn't make sure that Gru can't overhear this. So presumably the other Undersiders know, or at least Gru does.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want Taylor to know.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't fully trust Taylor. Or like because Alex specifically was like, no, don't tell Taylor about this. Like, why?
Why indeed?
Why would there be... Or is it like the other Undersiders found out and Alec didn't want them to know, so he just doesn't want anyone else to find out? Like, or is it specifically he doesn't trust Taylor? And what is his secret weapon that takes, what was it, 2 or 3 times as long?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, you might as well take the time. Like, what else are you doing with your time, buddy?
I mean, you know, sort of like, to your earlier point, if you're going to spend 15 minutes or 30 minutes hanging out, it's probably better to be a medic on the back lines for your own survival and effectiveness. And if it's probably not going to work, I mean.
Right, yeah. We don't know what the weapon is or if it would work on him.
I mean, I just got to... What do you think it is? Just like spitballing.
What was his name when he was working? Hijack. I want it to be, rather than this sort of like random spasms, that he can actually take control of someone's body for a few moments. Like,
I mean, that was kind of your original...
See through their... Yeah.
Yeah, your original prediction. Yeah. Interesting.
See through their eyes. Like, I mean, what an amazing thing to be able to do. Maybe he meant it would take 2 to 3 times as long with Leviathan as with a normal person, and it takes a really long time with a normal person.
That might be a better
like, maybe he has to, like, be in physical contact. Like, there are a lot of options.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I mean, what a long episode.
I know. I want to just make sure that I...
Yeah, should we do a quick check?
I will say I was surprised that when Lisa was like, okay, if I die, I was like, oh, she has secret information she's going to pass on to them. It's like, no, it's just her passwords and stuff. I was like, she didn't have any, like, secret she'd been keeping that she wanted them to know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so much morbid talk.
Well, then a lot of people die.
No, but I mean, it's sort of like... I feel like it's really inviting. It's like we're explicitly getting death flags for Lisa, Brian, and Taylor just in this chapter, being like, what would happen if this character died? And like, it really is.
That means
alarming.
If any of them dies, it's going to be Regent.
Oh, poor guy. We'll never see him use his secret power. Oh well.
Well, hopefully, if Tattletale lives, she can tell us what it was.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hopefully they won't both die.
No, I don't think we're going to lose an Undersider.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I guess I want to ask again, just kind of like overall, how you were feeling about Lisa as a character after reading this compared to before. Does it just feel like a deepening, or did it kind of like change anything for you, or...
More like a deepening, I think. Yeah. I don't think it changed anything drastically. I think she is a lot of the things that she seems, including putting on an act. And I really loved seeing her power at work. I feel like it did shift how I think about that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it also changed things, about my perceptions of her generally. It makes the forming of the Undersiders feel real in a way that it didn't before.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly I just have questions.
I know. They really, like, their coils group. It's like, there's almost something that I don't like about that. Like, I like the vision of them as like, they came together and kind of like Brian and Lisa are kind of leading them, and they got connected to this, this boss type figure as like a seed investor.
No.
Yeah, but it's very, it's very sinister. Yeah. Well, what's going to happen next chapter?
I don't know if we'll get to see Tattletale being saved. I assume we'll be back in Taylor's point of view. I don't know what the heck Taylor could possibly be doing to help right now. Perhaps stabilizing the victims?
Yeah.
Maybe she'll get to be involved with whatever happens to rescue Tattletale, and we'll get to see that, hopefully.
Would love that. Would love for her to not be dead.
I'd be very
continue to believe.
If she were dead. That would be a shock.
Well, I'll give you the first sentence.
Okay.
As tough or invincible as a given cape.
Might be. As a group, most of us were pretty flimsy.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
dropping like flies, and Taylor would know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you have any other predictions? I mean, we'll find out soon.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know how this is going to turn around because no one seems to have the actual firepower to take this guy out. And Lisa's analysis was not encouraging.
You love to see it. I mean, you previously predicted that the next Taylor chapter would be a fully down chapter.
Fully down chapter.
And it wouldn't be until 8.4 that the supergroup comes together.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there'll still be a lot of ups and downs. Like, it's presumably a long arc. We do know that Coyle is focusing on this chain of events, so presumably he will not have Brockton Baby destroyed before he gets to rule it.
Well, you know, okay.
His power is.
Okay, thanks, Coyle, I guess. Do you want to hear some cape names?
Oh, I do. My prediction is these ones all die.
Fierceling.
Fierceling. That's so cute. It's a cape that turns into a little puppy that bites your ankles.
Aww.
How do you spell fierceling? Is it like the word fierce and then L-I-N-G?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, that's adorable.
Yeah, that's my prediction. There we go.
Geomancer.
Oh, it's definitely an earthbender.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Pelter.
Someone who throws stuff at you. Let's see. Okay.
This is just a baseball player moonlighting as a cape.
Yeah. No, they're actually a rogue who's like a Major League Baseball pitcher.
I love that.
They can throw incredibly accurately.
Quark.
Ooh, I want them to be able to manipulate things on like a subatomic level. No, they're someone where you can know where they are or how fast they're moving, but you can't know both at the same time.
I think they can make you spin in one of 6 different ways. Acoustic.
Presumably that's someone with a sound-based weapon. So we've already had radar. We've already had the sort of like, it makes a sound and it hurts you. Acoustic is someone who can make you hear anything. Like, they can make sounds and make it so that other people can hear them, even if they wouldn't actually be in earshot.
I love that.
Yeah, they're like a secret whisperer.
I want Acoustic to be somebody who has the power of autotune. And they're very sort of like, you know, shonen anime themed in that they have to shout before they have the autotune mode going. They go like, Mixolydian mode! And then like, you know, and then everything is on that scale. That's what I want.
Okay, great.
Barker.
It's Bitch's new name. Barker. Yeah,
that's why Barker she's not here yet. She's rebranding.
Sounds like a communicator. Barker is someone who, if they shout at you, a command at you, for a second you really want to obey it, and you have to, like, it goes away after a second, but, like, there's that initial impulse.
I think Barker is, in real life, he's a serial killer who bakes people into pies. But as a cape, he's a barber. So he just has, like, really big shears or something.
Great, cut off that Endbringer's head.
Woebegone.
Oh, Woebegone. Oh, okay. So I was gonna say, like, Woebegone is like, it's kind of like a set, but like maybe it's actually like they make your woes be gone.
Oh,
they fill you with hope.
That's so important for an Endbringer battle.
I know. So their despair is going to be banished by Woebegone.
Okay, most important cape yet.
Yes.
Ugly Mug.
I mean, it's Medusa's power.
Love that.
It actually physically hurts you. It doesn't turn you to stone, but it physically hurts you to look at their face because it's so hideous.
I love that.
But unfortunately, Endbringer is not and never has been human, so doesn't have the same sensibilities.
I want Ugly Mug to be channeling, like, that mug you have in your cabinet that's really ugly, but you have a lot of affection for. So this is, like, somebody who, like, they get onto your team and you could just never get rid of them. Like, they're never going to be that powerful or good. But, so it's like the Ugly Mug. You just, you know, you like having him around. Chubster.
Wow. This is giving me sort of, like, Gregor the Snail vibes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I assume it's someone who can grow to be like a giant, but except instead of growing up proportionally, they like grow out.
Okay.
So they end up being really like round and they can roll you over.
I love that. Yeah, like a Katamari power.
Yeah.
Elegance.
Oh, it's really the opposite vibe. I'm getting like a Sonny and Cher pairing here. Let's see. Elegance.
Chubster and Elegance are all over the tabloids, the cave tabloids. Right under the headline about Bastion, we have Chubster and Elegance scene.
On again, off again relationship. On again. Yeah, let's see. Elegance. can instantly redecorate your entire house.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Really helpful in this situation against Leviathan.
Well, there are a lot of buildings in bad shape, so,
that's true. Hue.
Hue can change the color of anything.
Unfortunately, HEW.
Oh! Well, that sounds like Fault Line's power.
Interesting.
Yeah, can make things fall apart.
Adamant.
Can make things really, really hard.
Escutcheon.
Is that a shield? That's a shield, right? That's another
This is kind of like a
field.
heraldry word.
Yeah. Force fielder person.
Great. Intrepid.
Is the Alexandria package, but can't fly.
Brigandine.
Brigandine?
Yeah.
Brigandine. Wait, it's like Brigadoon.
Brigand, I-N-E.
Okay, Brigandine. Is this like a female brigand? Like a brigandette?
A brigandine is a type of medieval body armor consisting of small overlapping metal plates riveted to the inside of a fabric or leather garment.
Okay. Oh, okay.
This is the Wikipedia picture of a brigandine.
Oh, love it. Okay, yeah. This is another force field creator.
Resolute.
Resolute can punch you really, really hard.
Oh, unique. Cloister.
Cloister can push people a certain amount of distance away from themselves.
Hallow.
Hallow can make people really scared.
Halo.
Halo can throw things around your neck and choke you. I'm losing it a little, sorry.
Do they come? Is it BYO object or do they create the halos? Like if I just throw like a pool noodle at you, does it become a deadly weapon if I'm Halo?
No, here's what Halo does. Halo reminds you of the best parts of yourself.
Oh,
and then strengthens those parts.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I understand. There's a lot of names, but there's also a lot more. Ascendant.
Ascendant can fly.
One? That's it? In no special fun way?
No, obviously Ascendant needs a power to compensate for flying because it's really dangerous. So Ascendant can fly.
Can only fly straight up.
And then can stop using their power and fall back down to Earth. Yeah,
but then they can start again. Humble.
Humble can turn into a rock.
Oh, love that.
And then Peltor throws them.
Perfect. What a great combo. Peltor and Humble.
Yeah.
Herald.
Herald, not to be confused with escutcheon, which is a heraldry term. Herald can announce things in a really, really loud voice.
Why do you need the armbands? Good
question.
Neighbor.
Good neighbor. That's definitely a member of Haven.
Yes.
Good neighbor.
As may be Halo, Ascendant, Cloister, Hallow, Humble, Herald.
Oh, this is a great point. Wow, all of Haven is just done for, I think. Either that or Taylor meets them. I suppose that's possible. Good neighbor can sense the needs of the people around them.
Or is good at selling insurance. The Dart.
The Dart can find the weakness in anyone.
I think this is a speedster who moves really fast, but when they get to where they're aimed at, they have to stop for a bit. So they go whoop and then come to a point and stop. That's what I want the Dart to be.
All right, nice.
Mama Bear.
Okay, so this is not just purity. Mama Bear is just incredibly strong, super strength. Yeah, can lift cars off of people and stuff.
Harsh Mistress.
That's a dominatrix. Yeah, she has a whip that she uses with her super strength.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just sort of honest about it, Wonder Woman.
Yes. Oaf can turn into a really large troll.
Ooh, cool. Vixen.
Didn't we already have a Vixen?
I don't think so. I mean, I could have missed that it's a repeat name.
No, I think it's just a good word. Vixen is a seductress.
What sort of power is that?
Well, sort of like Heartbreaker, but for a woman. Just, similar.
Female
power.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah, female
also,
Heartbreaker.
Yeah, useful to have, I guess, to keep people's emotions under control.
Well, look, people show up to this fight. They have no reason to be there. So,
Fair. Sham.
Not actually a cape at all.
I love it.
Just has a costume.
I love it. But they're upfront about it. Biter.
Well, this is a real stretch. I'm gonna guess someone who bites you.
Sorry, Jenny, it's a B-Y-T-E? No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, this is someone who grows like a huge like crocodile jaw, huge teeth, and can chop down on people.
I love that.
Yeah.
Furrow.
Can travel through tunnels in the earth that they create themselves really quickly.
Jotun.
Oh, that's like a giant, isn't it?
A Norse giant.
Yeah, it's someone who grows to giant size.
Prince of Blades.
That's someone with a lot of swords.
Vitiator.
Vitiator.
How we doing, Jenny?
Is someone who can can pull someone's entrails out very slowly if not interrupted.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Debaser.
Likes to step on people's faces. That's a power, right?
Their power is just the pleasure. It doesn't make it easier for them to do it. It's just that they're compelled.
Just they love it.
They're compelled.
No, debaser is someone who can shrink other things and people.
Okay.
But somehow is not shrinking this Endbringer. I don't know why not.
Snowflake.
Has 6 arms.
I think this is somebody who makes your feelings really tender. Zigzag.
Better hope, who was it, is around. Woebegone.
Woebegone.
Zigzag is a speedster, but has to change directions every second.
Yes. How we doing?
Yeah.
We're rounding the corner.
All right.
Whirligig.
Whirligig. Oh, it's sort of like a whirling dervish type thing, like, can spin really fast and, like, hit things while spinning.
Strapping lad.
It's just Gaston.
He can eat a lot of eggs. He spits real accurate.
Yeah. Especially good at that.
Yeah.
Oh, and has acid spit. Yeah. Especially good at expectorating.
Perfect. And finally, Mr. Eminent.
Wow. Mr. Eminent has a shiny gold tooth that can blind you if he aims it correctly.
Oh, amazing. Okay, great. Well, I guess rip to those guys. I mean...
Those are, oh my gosh, the worst power predictions. I'm so sorry.
I did not really realize right away when I came up with this game that this chapter existed. But since becoming aware, I've been looking forward to this so much.
Watching the life leave my eyes. No, I actually love this game. I'm sometimes very bad at it.
I mean, it's great. It's great. We'll see or not see or see the last of probably some of these people next time.
I mean, this sounds like more than 1 in 4.
Yeah.
Sorry to not pick up on your next time.
Or on Inchworm. That's what we say, right? On Inchworm.
Let's try that again.
Next time, we will talk more on...
No, that's terrible.
And we'll see you next time. What do you want me to say?
Well, I guess we will see these people, or not, next time.
On
Inchworm.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McRae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.